You wake inside a palace that will never call you family.
The first door you open is not for yourself.
It is for someone whose shadow outranks your entire life. You are close to power before sunrise and far from freedom.
The halls are quiet enough to hear your usefulness breathing.
Your body was altered so the palace could trust your presence.
No one here calls that trust a kindness.
They call it service, which sounds cleaner than sacrifice.
You carry robes, brushes, paper, and the silence around them.
Even the women's quarters know your footsteps better than your name. A key ring at your waist feels heavier than honor. You thought proximity might look like privilege from the outside.
Inside, it mostly looks like waiting by someone else's door. Every order arrives soft and still lands like a sentence.
By nightfall, you understand the palace does not need your soul.
It needs your hands steady, your face blank, and your memory sharp. You learn which screens open and which questions never should. One mistake can travel farther than a confession. One whisper can turn a corridor into a courtroom.
You thought being near the emperor meant safety, but it means constant exposure. Your morning begins with combs, robes, paper, and lowered eyes. Your evening ends where another person's comfort finally begins.
You escort objects that matter more than your sleep.
Yellow paper, ink, seals, and keys pass through your hands. The palace teaches you that access is work before it becomes influence. Most days, influence never arrives at all. Most days, you are simply the hinge on someone else's routine.
The older eunuchs move like men who survived by shrinking. They correct your posture before they correct your mistakes. They know walls can hear fear before people do.
Some of them can read better than village teachers.
Some serve in rituals, records, or the quiet labor of paper.
The myth says eunuchs are only servants too small to matter.
The truth is smaller and colder.
You matter exactly when the palace needs a living tool. A door opens because you are trusted to disappear inside it.
A treasury lock answers to your hand and not your voice. The key feels powerful until you remember it opens nothing for you.
Even trust here has bars built into it. You were promised nearness, but nearness is just another way to be watched.
By now, you know which floors complain under tired feet.
You know which lanterns mean the ruler is awake. You know how quickly a room can become dangerous without anyone shouting.
The quiet makes every command feel more final. You carry powder boxes and folded silk like pieces of another life. None of those objects were ever meant to belong to you.
You serve people the Empire calls sacred inside painted doors. That does not make your own body feel protected. It makes your body feel assigned. You lose ordinary manhood without gaining ordinary power.
You lose the future your father might have named for you.
The palace gives you corridors instead of descendants.
No ceremony can make that exchange feel equal. The older men laugh softly when newcomers mistake rank for comfort.
They have watched favor change faster than weather.
They have seen useful men vanish after one wrong season. Runaways prove the walls are harder than the legends admit. Some men preferred punishment to another year inside.
That is the part the grand halls never announce. You thought a locked gate kept danger out, but it mostly kept you in.
Even your best day belongs to someone higher.
Even your safest hour depends on someone else's mood.
The Emperor may never learn your face. His appetite for order still shapes every breath you take. Bureaucrats hate what they cannot fully see. Courtiers fear whoever controls the nearest door.
So blame moves inward when politics needs a body. A servant close to power makes a convenient target. You learn to hear faction in the rustle of paper. You learn that silence can still accuse. Then comes the dangerous pride of being useful in secret places.
A sealed message reaches the right hands because of you.
A locked storehouse opens because your key ring answers first. A noble lowers his voice when you enter the room. For one moment, that feels like respect. This is how palace hope usually begins. Not with freedom, but with the illusion of being necessary.
You start to believe skill might protect you from contempt. You read faster, bow cleaner, and remember every instruction.
You think precision might become a kind of armor. The history books tempt you with famous eunuchs who ruled by whisper.
Names like Wei Zongxian make the corridor feel almost promising. But notoriety is not the same as a normal life.
Those men are remembered because they were rare and dangerous. The palace remembers ordinary eunuchs by function, not glory.
You were never hired to become a legend. You were hired to keep someone else's world running smoothly. Even literacy can become a finer instrument of obedience.
Even a better robe can turn into a tighter leash.
You thought access meant prestige, but it really meant borrowed importance.
Borrowed things are easiest to take back.
One death, one purge, one suspicion can erase your standing.
A stronger man's fear can rewrite your worth overnight. So you keep polishing the face that looks safest. The safest face is the one that seems to want nothing. By now, you understand why the palace feared powerful eunuchs too. A servant who knows every door becomes useful and frightening. That is why emperors used eunuchs and feared them at once. The closer you stand to the throne, the easier it is to burn. You thought the inner court was the center of the world, but it is also a trap. The keys, the papers, the screens, and the whispers all agree.
You are closest when you are most replaceable. The palace praises loyalty because loyalty is cheaper than mercy. It praises silence because silence leaves fewer witnesses.
It praises service because service hides the cost inside routine.
And still, you remain a human being inside that machinery.
You still notice another eunuch steadying your sleeve on a hard day.
You still feel less alone when someone shares corridor bread in silence. Small kindness survives even where dignity is rationed. It does not free you, but it keeps you from disappearing completely.
The worst part is not only what was taken from your body. It is watching the palace teach you to live as function first. That is why the keys feel heavier near the end. Not because the metal changed, but because you finally know the bargain.
The court calls you trusted, while keeping you permanently owned by access.
The Empire remembers monsters and admirals more easily than servants like you. But most eunuchs were never legends, only men bent around a system. So your final lesson is simple. Near power was never the same as safe.
If this life changed how you see palace power, stay for the next story. Subscribe for more lives history trapped behind beautiful walls and official myths.